Mel, everybody, I'm Cantonese Cat. Hey, everybody, Cantonese Cat here. I just want to bring it to your attention that I do these, what they call spaces. They're basically kind of like podcasts. And I do this with a bunch of my fellow friends and sometimes acquaintances that I'm trying to make friends with. I have done these many times already. I think this is like our fourth time hosting. And we always have great guests, like, Amit from Palantir Investments community has come on to the show before. We've had Chris Patel came on. We've also had, Danny, which I bring to us quite often. We also have, Open Skies, who is also a great, Tesla investor. We have Garcia, who also has his own channel. We have Matt, who also has his own channel. So we have quite a few people that are very, very, very on top of things. And we generally talk. And all it takes is just for you to click this recording and you can hear everybody speak. If you want to try and join us to listen to these things, please do. I'm going to keep these things going for as long as I can. And it's fun. So anyway, without further ado, I want to talk about a few stocks here. The first one's going to be Palantir. In terms of what Palantir is doing, it looks very, very bullish. And I was kind of telling you, like, really that it looked very, very bullish around $20 when it just wants to backtest the blue line and tank it over here and the 0.382 Fibonacci level. And it's just backtest. It looks like it's just, not able to break down further after three, slightly bearish candle inside of this big giant bullish candle. Next thing you know, it's probably like bulls are going to sniff it out and they're going to push it above and go higher, right? It pushed against this 25.46 level. Looks like it just keeps wanting to keep going higher. It also looks like, it's hitting maybe a little bit of resistance around 27 and a half. Last time, this wick over here got rejected around like 27-ish. And right now we're right back at the zone. So is this time going to be end up getting rejected again? You do have a lot of resistance over here from late 2020 to like early 2021. Actually, all the way to like late 2021, actually. Whole year stuck inside this range. So it's a pretty impressive range that's been trying to break above. Looks like it wants to do that. Looks like whales are in to want to try to push this up even higher. And it looks like it's probably going to end up gravitating to like $30 next, right above over here. And it looks like it wants to just keep pushing up higher, but you do have a little bit of a resistance zone over here. So we'll see. But it looks like the rising 3 methods looks like it's playing out pretty well. Another thing to look at too, look at the Bollinger Band. Looks like Bollinger Band on the upper Bollinger Band wants to expand up to 30, allow price to maybe even hit up to 30. Over here, it got rejected simply because it went way too far, way too fast. It just wasn't able to push back up too far, right? But over here, it looks like it wants to go up a lot higher. It looks like it wants to get to like 30 and beyond potentially, right? So all those things right here so far is looking really, really decent. And it's probably going to end up having some bullish continuation going on. Now, if you ask me whether or not to buy over here, I don't know, okay? I was telling you to buy down here. Again, this is not financial advice. I was telling you that I was loading up over there, and these could potentially be a pretty good risk-reward zone over here. But right now, it's kind of in no man's land right now. It could go up, it could go down. I would say the risk level up above is around 30. The risk level down below is maybe around 25. That's kind of where I'm looking at right now. But it's hard to know exactly what it's going to do, because if this thing ticks off, it ticks off. Like the Bollinger Band continues to expand, and I can't really do anything about it to stop it. So, and I also knew that a big move was going to come soon anyway, because if you look at a weekly chart, it just looks like Bollinger Band was squeezing. It looks like a big move was going to come. If you ask me what that big move is going to be, is it going to be up or is it going to be down? It's going to be up probably because whales are in and because the bull market support band is pointing up, right? And whenever you have something squeezing like that, generally a pretty big move could come. Like over here, squeeze, over here, squeeze, right? You could have a pretty big move that can come, right? So I just want to kind of show you a couple of things. Like one reason why I think it's good to join our spaces is because when I have Danny in, generally he tries to share some of these charts over here, right? For example, he shares some of the Palantir charts over here. I'm not going to go through in detail, but if you really like his stuff, you should join his Patreon. Again, I'm not getting paid to like advertise his stuff, but I just think his stuff is like really nice and it's really intuitive. It's good to follow. So if you want to, you can. I don't care. I don't get any money from it. Whatever you want to do. But this is the daily chart that Danny has. And all really I'm saying here is that whenever you have a red ribbon, this is a bullish look to it. It looks like it just had like a buy signal that just happened a few days ago on a very thick red ribbon that's pointing up. And you also see that the wellish trend is increasing. And you can also see that you have, the MACD is still pointing up and the RSI is still pointing up. So everything is still going very, very nice. Now, at a certain point, things are going to get overextended and you might have to kind of worry a little bit. But so far, the trend is still very nicely going up, right? In terms of the weekly chart, you can see also a buy signal that happened about 3 weeks ago and it's playing out pretty drastically. Wells are up, MACD cross is there, RSI is pointing up. Everything is very, very nice, right? Even the monthly chart, you can see you have a big giant, red candle over here back in around mid 2023, and it just hasn't looked back since. And it just looks like the red ribbon is forming very nicely, and it looks like wells are just also coming in on the monthly. You also have some very, very strong MACD pointing up here. RSI is also not overbought actually. So everything is looking pretty nice too per his system. If you want to hear more about that, please join our spaces from earlier today. I strongly urge you to consider doing that. Now, a couple other things too, in addition to Palantir, I also want to talk about Nvidia. Nvidia has done nothing for the last few weeks, right? Nvidia has done absolutely nothing for the last few weeks. When the rest of the market, you have a lot of stocks that went up like Tesla. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But Nvidia has done nothing. Why is that? Well, it's just simply got way too far overextended. I mentioned too, I think that Nvidia is probably going to end up going sideways a little bit, maybe cool off here for a month or two before going up further. The reason why is because, you just can't be way outside of upper Bollinger Band for months and months and without cooling down. Usually you take a few steps up and then one step or two step down before bullish continuation, even though the bull trend is still extremely strong because the Bollinger Band is still extend all the way down to the bottom, right? I'm not worrying about this trend exhausting until the lower Bollinger Band comes back from Earth. I'm not really worrying about the trend exhausting until that happens. But it still looks like a very, very nice bull trend. It just simply got overextended. Whales are in like 100% on the monthly, and on the weekly is like essentially 100%. On the weekly, it doesn't look as overextended. It just looks like it's just cooling off sideways, right? But on the monthly, in addition to the Bollinger Band, you also look at the Ichimoku cloud. It's like way above the Tenkan. Whenever things are way above the Tenkan, you generally correct through price or through time. And I think that it might need some time for the Tenkan to kind of keep playing some catch up here a little bit, while money might rotate to other stuff before money comes back to Nvidia again. But I think that if Nvidia is to go down, like even if it goes down to like 1 teens or like 100 range or something like that, I think it's going to end up getting bought up pretty quickly. It's probably going to keep going up higher for another like 12 to 18 months, maybe even longer. If you ask me in terms of like where I think Nvidia could go this cycle, I would say that I don't know for sure. I don't think anybody really knows that for sure. But if you just look at, I think this cycle looks very, very similar to this cycle over here. I think this spot over here looks very similar to this spot over here. Whenever you have the Bollinger Band expanding all the way down, I think these two are very, very similar, right? So what you're seeing here is on top of that, you look at the Ichimoku cloud. I also think that the overextension over here from the Tenkan is also very similar to overextension from the Tenkan over here. So it would not be surprising to me if price ended up going sideways for months and months and months. That would not surprise me at all, but it doesn't have to. If there are a period of time where it goes overextended, it just keeps going up higher, right? But I do think we're a little bit overextended, so don't be surprised if Nvidia holders might be a little bit more frustrated over the next few weeks when they see other things kind of going a lot higher, but their stock is not going up that much higher. If I have to guess how far Nvidia is going to go this cycle, if I think that this is going to be around the area where I think where we are right now, because based on where Bollinger Band expansion is happening at, then I would say this. Right now, like over here, this consolidation zone price is around 2.5, 2.6. Eventually, the cycle end up to with like 7.3, right? So you're talking about like 2.5x. If you're talking about 2.5x from here, you're talking about potentially at $400. Would it hit $400 this cycle before brutal correction, like greater than 50% correction is going to come? I don't know, but if you ask me whether or not it's possible, I think $400 is possible. Is it going to happen right away? Probably not. It might happen in like 18 to 24 months, kind of like how long it took for that to happen, right? it might end up happening for a lot longer. Now, if I see any particular warning sign would be, I'm going to show you here a little bit too, but warning sign would be if the Bollinger Band starts to come back from ground. That's when it really tells me that the trend is starting to get exhausted, and that's when I should start getting scared, right? That's one potential reason. Another potential reason for that would be, again, if you look at Danny's chart, you look at Nvidia, what you're looking at for the daily, weekly, and monthly chart, actually it still looks extremely bullish. Like for his chart, he just had a buy candle over here. Maybe the consolidation is over. Maybe it's going to keep going up a lot higher, or maybe it's just kind of go sideways over here after like the buy signal over here. Maybe just kind of go sideways over here for a few weeks before going up higher. That's entirely possible, but whales are still in on the daily. Whales are still in on Nvidia on the weekly. You had a buy signal that happened a couple of months ago, is still playing out. Whales are still in, right? And then on the monthly chart, whales are still in. Like this red candle, this buy signal over here has been ongoing for about a year and a half now. There's really no sign for slowing down, and the whales are still in 100%. The question is more whether or not we're overextended, and whether or not we just need to kind of cool down here in the short term, which is not the end of the world, right? That's Nvidia. I do want to talk about one thing that you probably want to hear a lot more about, which is going to be Tesla. What the heck is Tesla doing? What is resistance? Tesla does not care about your resistance. It is a beast. It wants to keep going higher. The question is, where's resistance going to be? And whether or not this is a bullish market structure yet or not yet, right? If you look at Tesla on the monthly chart, there are some bullish developments that are happening. The 20-month moving average, it was curling down ever since around August of 2022. It just kept curling down, 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 but it starts to do what? It starts to curl up from June to July. This is a very, very, bullish development, kind of like how it did over here. It kind of went from negative sloping to positive sloping. This is not something to be ignored. What are the whales doing? You see, like, whales are cool here, but they came in strong over here with just one candle, and the Tesla never looked back, right? Look at what Tesla's doing. You got a lot of whales that came in over here. Over here, you do have a lot of whales that came in, but the 20-month average is still crawling down, so it wasn't serving as very good support at all, and eventually things broke down in January 2024, and you end up getting into this nasty zone over here. Everybody thinks they're going to go down to like 60 or something ridiculous. You know why I don't think that it was going? Why I didn't think that it was going to go down to 60? I didn't even think it was going to go down to 100. The reason why I say that is because during this entire move, all the way from 400 to like 101, there's a lot of involuntary selling. There's a lot of stocks that have been traded hands from retail to institutions. You know how I know that? Is it just by looking at the chart? It certainly looks like capitulation, right? But you also look over here on fintel.io. Like, whenever price just plummeted from 400 to 100, what did they do? Like, what did institutions do? They bought. The institutional ownership just shot way up. Like, I just don't believe that price is going to go down like some genius is saying it's going to go down like $60. I don't really believe that, because the institution already front ran you. Like, if you're waiting for 60, that's on you, right? Could 60 come? Sure. Is it likely? No, I don't think so. It just doesn't really fit what I'm seeing, and it doesn't really fit what the institutions are doing. It just doesn't. So anyway, I also do think that when price was around 140s or so, I was kind of drawing these kind of crazy Elliott wave charts, and I really do think that it was following Elliott waves pretty well since the inception of the Tesla stock. And I do think that it's been forming, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC correction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ABC correction, and you also have a greater wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right. And wave 3 is generally the longest wave. Wave 3 is generally the most powerful, which is why people felt very, very powerful bull trend over here. It got everybody completely mesmerized. But eventually the party ends when retail comes in and when things are saying that they could go up to like thousands and thousands, and as we're not doing that, you end up having some pretty brutal correction of around like 75%, right? Over here, it looks like it's the start of the fifth big wave. And right now, I think we might be starting the third wave of the fifth wave, which can potentially be pretty powerful. And when it does that, like Tesla is one of those stocks that it just doesn't look back. I do think that we're hitting some resistance potential. I'm going to show you here in a little bit. But also, it's just showing you this chart over here too, like back in May 2020, whenever we just hit like 140s, everybody's thinking it's going to go back down a lot further, because price is still under 200, around 175. And I was just saying, hey, we're just playing the low notes over here. I think we're going to play the high notes pretty soon. So I think that's what Tesla is doing. It's just one of those stocks that's just going to keep doing what it wants to do, right? In addition, looking at the Bollinger Band, you can also look at the Ichimoku cloud. It broke back inside the monthly cloud. It might end up hitting some resistance up here around like 170, 175-ish, somewhere up here. It doesn't quite have the bullish Tenkan-Kijun cross quite just yet, which is unfortunate. You don't have that as a headwind to push up, but neither did we have a bullish cross over here, and probably just kind of push up another 2 months and created the bullish cross, right? I don't know exactly whether or not this bullish continuation is going to happen, but it certainly looks pretty darn good. Now, taking out the monthly Ichimoku, let's look at a weekly Ichimoku. It's just broke above the weekly Ichimoku cloud here. So there's a lot of bullishness there happening right now to Tesla. And also on top of that, if you look at the overall trend line, right, it looks like it kind of like hit the top. If anything, like this week kind of closed above this bear market trend line over here, all in just like 1 week. Like this is a pretty significant development that is happening, right? The question is, are we having a false breakout? Are we potentially going to see some resistance up in the 270 to 75 range, come back down, back test it, or even break down underneath of it, and then go down a lot further before going up? Looking at the last cycle, it looks like whenever you end up having a breakout, that should be it. I'm not sure whether or not you're going to end up having like a big giant rejection go down here before going up further, right? Like it doesn't look like that. You might have a breakout and then some black swan event can happen like COVID. You can have all the way come back all the way down here and back test this whole trend line here. But I just don't know whether or not that's necessarily gonna happen. It's just 1 week. It's probably also a low volume week because of the holidays, but there's some pretty significant volume there coming in for Tesla that is not to be ignored. So that's something to consider. And then other things to consider too is that, are we overextended? Heck yeah, we're overextended. But is Tesla, can things get overextended for a long time whenever it decides to do so? Yeah, it's Tesla. So like it's overextended by the Bollinger Band here on the weekly and on the daily. Like on the daily, it's just way outside of the Bollinger Band. If anything, this looks like a little bit of a toppy candle on Friday. So there's a potential for actually, even though we're kind of breaking above the trend line here, there's a potential for things. This might actually be like a little bit of a false breakout, and you might actually go down further and back test some of that, maybe even close the gap down here around 230. Could it close the gap down here around like 210? That's possible, but I don't think it's like going all the way back down because you're starting to have some pretty decent support there coming up, right? Even the upper Bollinger Band right now is only at 220. Can it back test 220, 230, 210 before bullish continuation? I think it's entirely possible. Can it break out above and go to 270, 275? It's Tesla. That's also a possibility. You know what I did? I told you what I did. I bought anything that's under 200. That's what I did. But right now it is what it is, and that's kind of what I'm seeing here in Tesla. I'm also going to show you some other things here about Tesla too. These are proprietary information that Danny shares on his Patreon, but because we hosted a space today on X, I have access to these because he's my friend, and you can see that whales on the daily chart, they have been in for a very long time. For the last 2 weeks, there's been increasing in trend of whale accumulation, and there's a decrease in trend of retail. And there was also a buy signal that happened a couple of weeks ago that has played out beautifully, right? If you're also looking at the weekly chart, you'll also see that there was a buy signal over here about 2 months ago that also ended up playing very beautifully too. You can see there's increase in actually the well accumulation hasn't increased at all, but the retail has really been declining, and that sometimes is what is necessary for things to happen. You also have a bullish cross on the MACD over here as well, right? And then finally on the monthly chart, it's been consolidating sideways for a very long time, but this is still early in the month, right? We only have one week of trading so far for the month of July, but we end up having a buy signal right there. And it's looking pretty bullish. It looks like we might be having a little bit of a MACD bullish cross over here too. So I just don't know whether this is going to end up going down that much further. Again, some of the risk levels I was showing you would be around maybe 210, 220, 230, and I show you the rationale as to why I think that's the case. But it's looking pretty bullish. It's just looking extremely bullish. I do want to share with you one more thing before we go, and this has nothing to do with Tesla. This has more to do with my friend Danny. His growth in his X journey and his growth in his Patreon has been unparalleled. This guy had less than 1,000 followers when 2024 turned around, and because of all the information that he's willing to share, most of it for free, many of which he does share for a very low fee. And again, I don't care about promoting him because I don't get paid for it at all. He had less than 1,000 followers at the beginning of the year. He's got 22.4 thousand. I am extremely proud of him, and I am very happy to be a part of his journey. I am extremely happy that he completely outgrew me within such a short period of time, and I am very happy to keep on getting him to be a part of the community and to share his thoughts. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Have a good one. Bye.